The world is absolutely falling to pieces and it's just getting worse every single day. Obviously, the Charlie Kirk assassination has taken the political world by storm. The OF industry is still taking the online world by storm. And even the entertainment industry and mainstream media has also been affected by the ripples of pretty much everything that we've mentioned so far. Let's start with the OF industry, right? With Lily Phillips starting up her own AI programs. We're at a weird transition in life where we're starting to see AI come into play a hell of a lot more than we ever have before. And we've just heard of one of the weirdest ways, or wildest ways at least, that AI is going to be incorporated into the adult industry. Now, bear with me here because there's some moving parts that lead up to where we are today. So obviously we all are very well aware, especially if you've been keeping up with the antics of this channel, with Bonnie Blue, Lily Phillips, and all the rest of it, all these other people that are coming out to do all of this crazy stuff. And essentially, right, where we're at now is that Lily Phillips, who has kind of trailblazed a lot of this crazy stuff, has announced that she plans to launch a new AI version of herself to fans to defile as they please. Her words, not mine, right? Literally, they are going to create an AI version of Lily Phillips that people can literally just do whatever they please with, create whatever they please with, and her body is essentially just the model to this program. I dread to think where we're going to head with this, but that's where we're at. Now, currently, obviously, we all are very well aware she blew up to popularity in 2024, documenting her controversial stunts on viral YouTube videos where she allegedly slept with 100 guys in a single day. She's been in competition with Bonnie Blue and all the rest of it. But recently, she announced that she plans to launch an AI-generated version of herself to essentially, which is essentially a customizable digital doppelganger. And the idea is allow fans unrestricted interaction, described in a headline as, quote-unquote, for fans to defile as they please. While reducing her personal involvement in high-stress shoots, she shared this in interviews around early September of 2025, citing health concerns like a recent hospital visit due to exhaustion from her demanding antics. The AI avatar would generate personalized content that she might not be able or willing to produce physically, blending her girl next door aesthetic with the interactive tech to maintain revenue streams. Now, this move positions her at the intersection of AI and adult entertainment, potentially revolutionizing fan engagement by offering on-demand tailored experiences, and has drawn buzz on platforms like X, with users speculating the implications for the industry, from job displacement to performer new crypto tokens inspired by the news, for example, and critics see it as a logical evaluation amid industry saturation. While supporters hail it as empowering creators to scale without burnout, as of mid-September 2025, the project appears in its early planning stages with no confirmed launch date. So that's essentially where we're at. And I can't help but feel that this little moment that went viral recently with her father may have also had a part to play in it. If you haven't seen it, here it is right here.
If there's anything that we could do that would change their profession, we'd do it overnight.
Yeah, we do anything to stop her doing the extreme stuff.
Yeah, it is the degradingness of it. And it's just making sure also that she's safe.
Yeah.
Sometimes you think, what have we done anything wrong with our upbringing? But
Don't think so.
We've had, well, as far as I'm concerned, they've had nothing but nice times and love.
Now, obviously, that's a very powerful thing for a father to say about her or their daughter's profession. That, it is degrading, to use that word, degrading. Physically demanding, putting herself potentially in danger. Now, Lily's not stupid, right? She's very well aware that she can't make this level of cash doing anything else now. And also, her digital footprint would probably make it very, very difficult for her to get a job, arguably anywhere, okay? She's kind of bound now to this kind of entertainment industry for probably the rest of her life. She could transition to other forms of social media and get a bit of a cleaner reputation, but this is what's paying the bills and paying the big bucks. So how do you eliminate you having to do the dirty work, right, by doing these insane challenges or doing these insane things that people want you to do, whilst also maintaining that extreme cash flow? Well, the genius thing to do would be to create an AI-generated version of yourself, which can put you in the positions that people physically demand of you without you having to actually do it. There is zero work for Lily, apart from upkeep of the site and the program, and maximum cash revenue. People are still going to get off on it, and that's the kind of crazy thing. I can't help but feel, obviously, she cited in interviews and stuff like this, like to the staff, for example, where, she said her loved ones obviously made it difficult to come to terms with her making a living. And she's also admitted that she went into hospital because her body was so stressed out by her antics. Phillips appeared to have fatigue and protected herself, giving her fans more access to her. Now, she went on and stated, the fans, would know it was AI, but some men might want to see me in positions that I can't get myself into. I'm not that flexible, but an AI bot could do the splits, like make it a differentiate from the content that I have on my own page. Who doesn't want to make money from doing not a lot? I mean, she's completely open about it, fair enough. Basically, AI Lily would do anything and all the work that she doesn't have to, while still bringing in all the cash for her to enjoy. Obviously, a lot of people are going to see a lot of issue with this because people don't necessarily like AI. People don't want to see AI become a natural part of life anymore. But ultimately, this is the way that the world is heading. We can't stop it. You can't stop it. It's going to happen. Yes, Lily's going to end up making a shit ton of money whilst doing very, very little work to get that money. But I guess some people would argue that the heavy lifting and the hard work and the, big steps have already been taken by Lily, which has put her in this position, which has built up her audience. And now she can just kind of enjoy the fruits of her labour, quite literally. But it's one of those ones where it's like very, very weird. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of other people follow suit. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Bonnie bot or something crazy like that, or the Lily Phillips bot kind of trailblaze a lot of this industry, because it can just basically do everything that she can't on demand, fill everybody's cup of tea essentially, right? Fill up everyone's cup, do what they want, and then they just get to do it with her and she gets paid. It's kind of ingenious, truly. I don't know how else to describe it. It is very, very clever. That's all there is to it. I mean, ultimately, it actually stops what everyone wanted to stop, which was these crazy shenanigans going on. Everyone's getting what they want. Lily's making bank, and no one can really hate on her for that. Now, the influencer scene isn't just affected by OF, it's also affected by one of the biggest gaming clans that have kind of broadened out into pretty much a little bit of everything, with the FaZe Clan allegations going against one of the founding members, FaZe Temper, who has been accused of pretty heinous things. This current FaZe situation is a story of underage girls, allegations being made, gaslighting your audience into them believing that you couldn't have done any wrongdoing, to then later come out and admit to your wrongdoing. This is an absolute whirlwind of a shitstorm, and it summarises where social media influencers are currently at when they seem to kind of get this position of power. They seem to think that because they have a following, because they've got money, they're able to get away with stuff. A lot of people are stating that, the people involved aren't necessarily at fault, but at the end of the day, there is wrongdoing that has happened. So, in case you've been living under a rock for the past 24 hours, the FaZe Clan has come under some significant fire for underage sex, essentially, right? Or at least one of the members has. So, let me kind of rewind the clock a little bit. If you don't know who the FaZe Clan are, the FaZe Clan are essentially a group of, well, gamers to begin with. And they were starting out on Call of Duty, and then as the years went on, they kind of progressed into their own things, and the FaZe Clan has become a lot bigger than that of just gaming. But there's been significant controversies with a lot of the members of the FaZe Clan as of late, and the most recent one is by far the most damning that we've had in a very, very long time. So, it all started back earlier in September, when FaZe Rain, who is one of the FaZe members, of course, exposed FaZe Temper, who allegedly admitted to being with two 16-year-olds, and then says that Banks lied in his response. Now, FaZe Banks, of course, is like one of the leaders of the FaZe Clan. Take a little listen to this.
It breaks my fucking heart. This dude looks me in my eyes and says, bro, I'm not going to lie. I had a threesome with two 16-year-olds. I'm like, bro, what? Like, how could you tell me that? It breaks.
Obviously, those are some very significant allegations, right? And it kind of goes on a little bit deeper here, as Banks allegedly lied about the situation as well.
I'm not going to be on a team with a pedophile. I'm not going to be on a team with a pedophile. I just refuse to. You know what I mean? He has to own up to that shit. I'm not even saying publicly, but within us. And just be 100, bro. Just be like, bro. And he did admit to it on the call, by the way. This is what he said. When I texted Banks about it, and he said, okay, let's all get in a call right now. This is serious, right? Even though, like, you've been known. Me, Tommy, Banks, Apex on a call. My boy Wes sent me screenshots because I was texting him immediately. October 7th, I guess it was, last year is when we all got on a call together. The last time we all talked together. And we all get on the phone. Banks is acting like it's news to him. But again, he can deny it all he wants. I just don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. It's just, he knew. He knew. And they try to say, like, maybe I wasn't paying attention. Maybe I wasn't listening. Cap. I don't care. You knew. And I know you knew.
Obviously, very significant allegations. Now, this literally just kind of came out of the blue in one of the streams, okay? And it led to an entire shitstorm that then later ensued. So, obviously, these allegations were then made. And FaZe Temper, after this, dropped a statement where he basically gaslit the situation into people believing that this was just all a lie. This is what he had to state. Yesterday, I watched someone I once called a brother go online, call me a paedophile, and laugh about it. Today, I was cut off the roster. I've given my heart and soul to this brand for 15 plus years, and then one of the people I built it with attaches my name to the most foul, untrue word imaginable. That moment overshadowed everything I'd sacrificed and caused real damage to me and my family. Watching someone I once trusted turn something that serious into entertainment is evil. This isn't content. These lies have real consequences for me, my family, and my son. And instead of a call or a text, I was just cut off the roster today. No conversation, nothing from the people that I stood beside for over a decade. I made a lot of mistakes growing up, said some dumb shit, was a mess in a lot of ways. But when I met my wife, and especially when I found out my son was on the way, everything changed. I knew I had put my growth into overdrive, so he'd carry the same burdens. My mission is to give him good habits, love and strength, so he can live a beautiful life. This lie doesn't just hurt me, it hurts my family, and most of all, my son. I'll fight every day to make sure he grows up knowing the truth. Obviously, he's there vehemently denying the allegations that have been lodged against him, right? So that's quite significant. It's quite a big deal. And he's basically saying, you know, don't associate me to this. And he then went on to a video or onto a stream and stated this with the title, I am disgusted.
The fact that I'm even having to respond to this and to that my name is in the same breath as the word pedophile is so sick, twisted, and insane. This is disgusting. Anybody that knows me knows I'm not that type of person. I am the furthest thing from what you called me. And I will never be that person. It's so mind-blowing that someone that I really built a brotherhood with, someone that I really considered a brother, that I invited to my baby shower, that I always looked after and took care. And then when you were going through your darkest days, I was there for you and I was making sure that you were good. When when you were in a wheelchair for 2 years, and like I was so gutted at the fact that like you couldn't walk again, and then all of a sudden you were able to walk again, and I was the happiest person in the room. There wasn't a single soul that was happier for you than me. Brother, I have known you since you were 14 years old, talking to me about when you were suicidal in these Skype chats, and I was there for you then. And I've been there for you this whole time. You talked about how I rated you the other day, even though when you first brought this up a year ago, and I believe that you brought it up just for money purposes, that you wanted money out of FaZe. Like you stated that a year ago in the conversation with me, Banks and Apex. You stated if you don't get paid that, you're going to air this out. That is blackmail. This is not like, you know who I am. You know the type of person I am. I am not what you called me. I'm fucking gutted, bro, and I'm pissed that you even put my name in that light, because now all I care about is my family, bro. Like my biggest concern is my family, my wife, and my kid. Now my kid has to grow up and see this, then see that his father is in the same, that my name is in the same light as what you just called me. It's fucking sick. When I bring my son to school, right, and the other parents get to figure out who his dad is, and now they're associating me with that word. You don't even understand the levels of damage that you just inflicted into my life, into my family's life, into everything that I built. I have put my heart and my soul into FaZe Clan in ways that you and Banks and Apex know more than anybody. I brought you guys on because you guys deserved it, and I felt like you deserved it, and I broke bread with you completely. Split the company with you. And made sure that you were good. And even at times where like you were trashing the company, I still stood out for you, and I still said he should still get paid. And I was looking out for you, you know? And I wanted you, and even throughout all this stuff, like in a way, I wanted you back in. Even though you said this, then that just goes to show you my heart. You know, I'm disgusted by your actions, by the person you've become. You haven't always been this way. You're a really nice kid. I don't know what happened, what got into you.
Obviously, complete deflection, complete gaslighting into basically stating complete innocence. Now, those are some strong terms for me to be using, right? Gaslighting and deflection. But what he admits to later on completely 180s this entire sentiment, and it's kind of messed up. Now, it got to the point where FaZe Rain, who made the initial allegations, dropped a 4-minute apology video after accusing Temper of actually being what he claimed for him to be, which was, of course, a paedophile, right? So here's what we've got from FaZe Rain.
So I just got off a 4-hour call with Emma, which is Tommy's wife and his mother of his child, and she was so cool, so rational, so understanding. She was just, pouring her heart out to me, venting and talking about how this has affected her life, And that's what a lot of people tend to forget, is how much these things affect people's real lives. I know it's just Twitter to you guys. You're just weighing in on an opinion. You type some shit, you move on, you type some other shit on a different thing. But it really does affect these people's lives, bro, especially when it's something this sensitive, So please keep that in mind. But I do want to say this. I want to first and foremost retract the statement that I called him a pedophile, because that wasn't fair to do. By the way, I wiped my fucking camera. I don't know what the fuck is still happening. Okay? I wiped my fucking camera. I don't know what's happening. But it's not fair to label somebody as a pedophile, especially when they supposedly did not know this girl's age. I've known Tommy for 15 years. It's not like he ever went around preying on young girls or telling me he likes young girls or any of these things. So that's why I was such a shock when he told me what he told me. He just never told me that he didn't know their ages. If he did, it'd be a whole different story. It'd be a whole different story if he didn't know their ages, right? And I never would have felt as deep about it as I did. And I never would have wanted him to step down in 2023 if he didn't know their ages. I thought he did know their ages. And then even when we talked about it after, he didn't say he didn't know their ages. And I don't know why. Sometimes, and also, I've known him, and then also with Emma bringing it up, he just sometimes sells the fucking bag. He just sells the bag when it comes to delivering all the right information. You know what I mean? He doesn't say it all the right way. Maybe he was frantic and just didn't know what to say or do, so he just withheld that information, which I don't think he realized would have not made me look at him in that light if he was truly ignorant to the fact that they were under 18. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he knew that, it would be a whole different story. If I knew that, it would be a whole different story. So I do apologize for that. I do want to retract that label because that label is so evil. We all agree there's no room for pedophiles in our world, but there is room for somebody that had no fucking idea and they were latching from a girl who snuck into a club that was 21 plus and got with a guy who was older. Not known, you know what I'm saying? But I also don't know how hookup culture works. I don't know if you guys, every time you guys hook up with a girl at a club, you fucking check their ID. I don't know. I don't drink alcohol. Never hooked up with a drunk chick that wasn't my girlfriend, so I don't know. Okay, I have no idea how that shit works. I don't know what the customs are. So that's a whole different conversation, but I do want to apologize for that. I will take full accountability. If you guys want to project blame on anybody, you can, of course, put it on me. I'm totally cool with that. I always am. It does not affect my life. It's cool. I'm a strong guy. I can figure it out. It's cool. But I do feel so fucking horrible for that. And not for myself. When I tweeted saying I feel horrible, it was not for myself. It's for everybody involved. Obviously, like, people try to act like I'm trying to make it about myself. So I'm going to take a couple seconds to talk about that. Brother, I do not want this fucking game. I have slept a total of like 6 hours in the last 2 days. I have eaten nothing for the last 2 days. Nothing. This is not easy on me in any way, shape, or form. I'm not sitting here happy as fuck about... This sucks, bro. This fucking sucks. Okay? It's not what I want to fucking hear. It's not what I want to fucking deal with. And yeah, I brought it to the internet, but I didn't know what to do, bro. And I'm hearing every opinion. Some people are applauding me for bringing it up. Some people are saying, why'd you wait 2 years to bring it up? And then some people are saying I'm a fucking L friend for bringing it up. Like I told you guys yesterday, I had 3 rules, and I believed he broke one of those rules. But if he was ignorant to that, of course he didn't break that rule because he had no fucking idea. And again, he does not go preying on young women. So to even call him a pedophile to that degree is not fair. Does it stem from what I initially said? Yeah. But honestly, the first day I even brought it up and I didn't say who it was, I deleted everything from that stream. I was going to dodge stream for 2 weeks. I swear to God, you can be mad at me for that if you want. I was going to dodge stream for like 2 weeks and not go live. Because I just felt so fucking bad, bro. I just felt so fucking bad. Then I woke up. Feared Buck posted a tweet about it. Banks made a statement about it, essentially confirming that it was Temper who I was talking about. And then my fucking hand was forced and I had to. But again, it's my fault that happened. I can't even blame Fearbuck for that because he wouldn't have had a tweet if I never said nothing. Right? So it's my fault. But it just sucks, man. It just truly sucks. I really truly thought I was doing something good. But then I thought I'd get this weight off my chest. Instead, I added a fucking 500-pound vest. So it is what it is. I'm sorry to every single person involved. I hope you guys can realize how much this affects people's real lives. Just please, if you still want to just get your little internet troll out, just get it out on me, bro. I promise I can take it. I fucking love you guys. Anybody that had my back, even Tommy's back, whoever, just like, anybody that's trying to preach love and preach positivity throughout all this, you're a fucking real one, bro. You're exactly what this world needs. So I fucking love you guys, and I'm just sorry for everything, man.
Now, obviously there is the admittance that what happened or what he was accused of did actually happen. And of course, the narrative, okay, is that he was unaware of the situation. Now, yeah, I will play devil's advocate on this one and say, you know, there's a possibility that he didn't know. But at the same time, that is an incredible alibi. And it's one that we've seen from a lot of people in the past who were like, oh, I just had no idea that she was underage when I slept with her. And this is why I feel so cynical towards this situation, because it's a very, very easy ploy to play when you're being faced with such serious allegations to kind of save face. Nobody wants to be labelled a PDF file at all. Nobody, right? And you maybe it's wrong to label him that. But at the same time, what happened did actually happen, and he admitted to that. He admitted to that in this video right here.
This is the last time I'm going to speak of this. My private life is being aired out for public entertainment, and I'm being forced into an impossible situation. So now, one day my children are going to see this video, and they're going to know about, you know, sexual experiences and the type of person that I was before I met their mother. And let's just start at the top. So a lot of what Norton was saying of the type of person that I was is true. Not all of it. I was a reckless kid. I was very misguided. I was in and out of relationships. And I didn't know any better, right? And so one day, I met Emma, and Emma
was the love of my life. Like this, I fell in love with this girl, and I wanted to marry this girl, and I never had wanted to marry anybody before that. I never wanted to get married, and I was just blown away. So this is the girl that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with, but because of all the baggage that I had, and all the shit that I went through, and just the person that I was, I pushed her away. You know, she did not want to be with me, and she ended things, and that broke me and sent me into a dark, dark place. Soon after that, I was just that lost soul again, going to parties, partying, and just being a fool. And then one day I go to New York, and I go to this club that's 21 plus, and I link up with a buddy there, and he invites a couple girls, and I end up going back with these girls. We're all shit-faced, and I end up going back with these girls to my hotel room. I slept with one of them, and I found out after that this girl was 17. And that's the age of consent in New York. But regardless, I was sick to my stomach. It was just extremely uncomfortable knowing that and thinking about the situation. And that was it. And so shortly after that, or however long after that, Emma and I got back together, and you know, I was fully working on myself and becoming a better man, and doing what I have to do to heal myself and heal like all the trauma that I had, and just work on myself on being a better man. And you know, not too long after that, I proposed. And a few months later, we found out she's pregnant, and now I realize I have a child on the way, so I have to put my self-growth in overdrive, because my child does not deserve to live a life where he picks up the bad habits that I had growing up. And so the last few years of my life have been on super fixated on just becoming a better man, husband, and father. That's been my number one focus, and it's something that I needed for myself. And you know, I wish that I started earlier. I wish that I didn't put the love of my life through all the things that I put her through, and you know, and then that was it. And so this allegation of me being called a pedophile is fucking insane. Anybody that knows me knows I am not a pedophile or even anything close to that, including Norden himself. So I just, this is something that is going to follow me around forever. And it's just sick, because people on the internet will take things and twist it into something that it isn't, and just keep running with it. And now I just have to deal with the repercussions, you know. And so that's the unfortunate part about this reality. But that's it. I mean, there was nothing else to it than that. And yeah.
Now, there is a part of me that feels somewhat bad for him, all right? Because ultimately, you know, yes, he's been labelled as something. Yes, it was legal by age of consent, all right? What the interaction was completely legal. But the question, of course, then comes in is legality versus morality. Again, he's claiming that, you know, the girl, by his assumption, was of, like, you know, over 21, because they're in an over 21 nightclub. The issue here, and the issue why I've been so cynical coming into this, is because we've heard all of this before with high notable influencers, right, who have these positions of power. Dr. Disrespect only last year. We've had many others prior to this as well, where we've heard about these huge influencers who will, you know, sleep with underage girls or whatever, then get caught out, and then suddenly claim that, you know, I wasn't aware. You know, I didn't know that she was only 17 at the time. This is where my cynicism comes in, because I And I feel kind of bad for being cynical because ultimately, you know, this guy's got a family. I know what that's like. That's going to be a really hard thing to have to try and explain to your son when he ultimately gets old enough to understand what's going on here. But I'm conflicted. And yes, I stand by what I said before where, you know, no, you may not necessarily be a paedophile, but at the same time, something happened which will be frowned upon on the internet. And to then kind of like be like, you know, you kind of nuanced on that singularity there. That video obviously came out after, where like clearly there's been some time to reflect, and I respect the video coming out because, you know, he's, instead of being like, oh no, that's not me, I didn't do anything wrong, he's like, well, actually something did happen, this is the situation, and context is key. But at the same time, there's a bit of cynicism on my side as well. Now, off the back of all of this going on, the FaZe Clan released their roster, alright? And the roster now no longer includes FaZe Temper after everything that's gone on. So, we the boys want to make it clear to everyone that this list is FaZe. Anybody outside of this list is not associated with FaZe in any way. And as you can see, obviously, FaZe Temper is no longer there. All other former FaZe members have no current affiliation with the group. Now, obviously, this again adds more fuel to the fire. FaZe are obviously just trying to cover their asses, right? They don't want to be associated with this because this is going to tank their stocks. But these guys were well aware about this prior to any of this going on, right? So, like, they were aware of this last year. A year ago to, like, this month. September of 2024 is when they said that this first all came out. If there was no wrongdoing, and this is me with my cynical hat on again, if there was no wrongdoing, why is he not part of the roster anymore? I don't know. Obviously, I'm going to throw that one up in the air. Now, the ultimate question is, and the question on everyone's lips, are there going to be legal consequences for this? Well, no. Because ultimately, the legal age of consent over in New York is, I believe it was 16 or 17. He said, you know, it was completely consensual, it was legal. So he's not going to face legal repercussions off the back of this. And right now, there are no legal consequences stemming from these recent allegations. But the court of public opinion can sometimes be a hell of a lot worse than that of an actual court. Because careers can be made and broken online, of course, as we all know. What do you guys think about this? If you think that I'm being too cynical on this situation, tell me in the comments. I'm genuinely curious because I feel like I'm sick and tired of seeing people of influence, of, you know, high notable status instantly just like suddenly becoming these people. And it's horrible. It's horrible because there's no space and room for that, like, at all. Moving forwards from that, we've obviously got Charlie Kirk's assassin who appeared in court, right? And the way that he was so nonchalant and so dead behind the eyes was pretty chilling. Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin Tyler Robinson has just appeared in court for the first time and just spoken in court for the first time. And I've got to say, it was crazy. He sits there completely emotionless the entire time. And even when he's confronted with the fact that he might be facing the death penalty, in fact, he probably will be facing the death penalty for what he's done, allegedly, he just sits there completely emotionless, not a thought behind the eyes. And it's quite unnerving to watch. So, obviously, this comes out incredibly quick because this is such a high-profile case now. The entire world is watching how America will react to this. And they've not messed around. They've obviously caught the guy as quickly as they can, allegedly. And they have also put him in front of a judge as quickly as possible because they want to kind of set a precedence that they're not to be trifled with. And like I say, it's incredibly unnerving to watch because there is complete lack of remorse for what's happened. Now, obviously, a lot of people will say that this is politically charged, socially charged, whatever. But at the end of the day, a human being has lost their life. A father and a husband have lost their life, and that, should carry some weight, even by the person that took the life. But it seems that he just doesn't give a flying fuck. And it's weird, and it's really weird. So obviously, like we've already stated before, Tyler Robinson will be facing the death penalty if found guilty of, obviously, what's happened.
Today, after reviewing the evidence that law enforcement has collected thus far, I am filing a criminal information charging Tyler James Robinson, age 22, with the following crimes. Count 1, aggravated murder, a capital offense, for intentionally or knowingly causing the death of Charlie Kirk under circumstances that created a great risk of death to others. Count 2, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, a first-degree felony. The state is further alleging aggravating factors on counts 1 and 2 because the defendant is believed to have targeted Charlie Kirk based on Charlie Kirk's political expression and did so knowing that children were present and would witness the homicide. The state is also charging defendant with count 3, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony for moving and concealing the rifle used in the shooting. Count 4, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony for disposing the clothing he wore during the shooting. Count 5, witness tampering, a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to delete his incriminating texts. Count 6, witness tampering, a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to stay silent if police questioned him. And count 7, commission of a violent offense in the presence of a child, a Class A misdemeanor, for committing homicide knowing that children were present and may have seen or heard the murder and did so based on Charlie Kirk's political expression. Also, following the press conference, I am filing a notice of intent to seek the death penalty. I do not take this decision lightly, and it is a decision I have made independently as county attorney, based solely on the available evidence and circumstances and nature of the crime. Because we are seeking the death penalty, the defendant will continue to be held without bail in the Utah County Jail. Turning to the 10-page information.
Now, obviously, that's quite drastic, isn't it? But again, because of the profile of this assassination, because of how serious this entire situation is, America are taking no chances with this, and they are really kind of setting their precedents early doors. Now, this is the moment, and this is Charlie Kirk's, killer's face, so Tyler Robinson's face, when he was faced with this. Just watch. This is, it's crazy.
Other business that we need to address today, Council.
Just for the court's information, we did file just recently, within the last few minutes, a notice of intent to seek the death penalty. That was filed by Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray. So that should be in the court's file.
Absolutely nothing. Stonewall. No remorse or care in the world about the consequences. It would seem, at least. This is, again, very akin to that of the, who was the guy who, Luigi Mangione. Again, when he appeared in court, he was very steadfast in his actions and, still stood by his actions even to the bitter end, especially in court. And it's very akin to that. Now, again, I'm going to play just a small segment of the court proceedings. It's all done virtually, it would seem. But if you just take a look at Tyler Robinson's face throughout it, there is nothing. He gives nothing away.
The jail, are we ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Calling case 251-403-576, State of Utah versus Tyler James Robinson. Could you state your name?
Tyler James Robinson.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Robinson. I'm Judge Graff. Mr. Scortis.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. You're probably already aware of my presence or why I'm here, but if not, I am not entering an appearance. I'm not counsel on this case. I'm working with the county to get counsel assigned, but we need you to allow for the appointment of counsel.
Thank you, Mr. Scortis. I want to go through the qualifications for indigency, but that is my intent, Mr. Scortis.
Very well.
And I thank you for being here. So, Mr. Robinson, you have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, the court can appoint an attorney to represent you. I have reviewed your declaration of financial status and find that you are indigent. I'm provisionally appointing a Rule 8 qualified attorney to represent you on your case, Mr. Robinson. Along with the filing of their appearance of counsel, the assigned attorneys must file declarations with the court that outline their qualifications under Rule 8 and Rule 8C. Under Rule 8B and Rule 8C for counsel appointment in a case where death may be a sentencing option. I'm ordering that those declarations be filed prior to the next hearing date, which is set for September 29th at 10 a.m. Mr. Robinson, I also wish to inform you of your rights against self-incrimination. Anything that you say in court today could be used against you, and we want to protect your constitutional rights. Mr. Robinson, at this time, you will remain in custody without bail. Mr. Scortis, is there any other points that you wish to address?
No, thank you very much, Your Honor.
Turning to the state.
Yes, Your Honor. Chad Grunander for the state. I'm also joined, and they're listed as attendees, Ryan McBride, Lauren Hunt, David Sturgill, and Chris Ballard. We are the trial team on this case. I do have a few points I'd like to bring up with Your Honor. We have filed a pretrial protective order on behalf of Erica Kirk. We would ask the court to review that. It should be in your queue, Your Honor, and sign that.
Thank you. I have reviewed the pretrial protective order and will be issuing this pretrial protective order in favor of Erica Kirk. Is there any other business that we need to address today, counsel?
Just for the court's information, we did file just recently within the last few minutes a notice of intent to seek the death penalty that was filed by Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray. So that should be in the court's file. Lastly, I would just indicate to the court and to, at this point, Mr. Robinson, that we are prepared to collect all of the discovery in this matter and get that turned over to the defense as soon as possible. Rule 16 requires us to provide what we have relied on in charging the information and bringing these charges within 5 days once it's requested. So that'll be prepared to disseminate to the defense as soon as possible.
Now, as you can see, nothing, absolutely nothing from Tyler Robinson there. Now, like I said before, the death penalty in this instance, especially within the state of Utah, is unbelievably rare. Like, incredibly rare. So, throughout the history of, Utah, right, when it's associated to capital punishment, it's dating back to territorial days, including the unique use of firing squads and many executions, right? But Utah, in total, has carried out over 50 executions in its entire history since statehood in 1896, which is insane. So, obviously, in the case of Tyler Robinson here, the pursuit of the death penalty is incredibly rare, aligning with broader trends in Utah, where capital punishment has become exceptionally uncommon in recent decades. Now, while Utah remains under the death penalty for aggravated murder and has a history legacy, for example, first post of 1976 execution via firing squad in 1977, its application has sharply declined. So, in the sense of Tyler Robinson, this rarity stems from a lot of legal hurdles, by the way. So, you know, there's competency requirements, drug shortages, lethal injection, and shift in public opinion, of course. And a 2021 Utah poll showed that only 51% of support for retention, but opposition is growing amid national abolition trends in 23 states, for example. So, obviously, with regards to this, there is an element of a show of force in the response to this to give the death penalty, but it's primarily driven by the crime severity rather than mere posturing. Utah's County Attorney Jeff Gray emphasized the decision was quote-unquote not taken lightly and was based on the available evidence and circumstances, including the shooting's brazen public execution style nature and its broader threat to public safety and political disclosure. However, the rapid escalation announcing intent to seek the death penalty on the day of charging appears amplified by external pressures like political pressure, prosecution, independence versus symbolism, and many other factors. So, obviously, this is a very significant point in history where, you know, obviously what happened was very, many would say, politically driven. But the fact that the death penalty has been offered up so early on as well, like even when the manhunt was ongoing and they hadn't actually caught the shooter, they were already stating the person responsible will be getting the death penalty. We will be seeking that. And they followed that through. And we've got the entertainment industry being absolutely ruffled as Jimmy Kimmel, of course, was taken completely off air from the allegations and, you know, from the things and comments that he made on his late night talk show with regards to the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Something weird is going on over in America right now, and it's developing really quickly to the point where now talk show hosts are getting banned from TV for speaking out against Donald Trump. But we've also got some developments on the Charlie Kirk assassination situation with Tyler Robinson's alleged text messages to his roommate coming out. But a lot of people are starting to question whether this is actually real. We're going to start off with the text messages, then we're going to get into the revelations of Jimmy Kimmel, but also some things that Donald Trump has stated, like from an undercover recording, right, that has kind of come out, and it's quite disturbing to listen to. So, first of all, we're going to talk about the Charlie Kirk assassination, right? So, obviously, this has taken the world by storm. Tyler Robinson has been, or is being currently sentenced for it. It's likely he will face the death penalty in Utah, which, in my last video, if you watched that, you'll know that's incredibly unheard of. There's, in the state of Utah, since it was, like, formed its independence back in the 1800s, there's only been 50 death penalties, which, in that space of time, isn't actually a lot compared to some other states. But the text messages between Tyler Robinson just after the assassination and his roommate have come out via BBC News, right? These are the text messages. We'll go through them first. So he states, "Drop what you're doing. Look under my keyboard." Roommate, "What? You're joking, right? I'm still okay, my love, but I am stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped that the secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to have to involve you. You weren't the one that did it, right? I am. I'm sorry. I thought they caught the person. No, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of the side of the town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering. Why? Why did I do it? Yeah, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it. How long have you been planning this? A bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it. I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried that my old man would find out, and if he did, Grandpa's rifle. I don't even know if it had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about prints. I had to leave it in a bush where I could changed outfits. Didn't have the ability to all the time to bring it with me. I might have to abandon it and hope that they don't find prints. How they, expletive, will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I have left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Delete this exchange. My dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released photos of the rifle and it's very unique. He's calling you right now, not answering. Since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA. I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbours here is a deputy for the sheriff. You are all I worry about, love. I'm much more worried about you. Don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If the police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent. Now, just flickering through the comments of this, people are kind of very confused about this. So this one had 89,000 likes, sorry. It's awesome that he answered all investigative questions while confessing in these texts. I'm not one for wearing a tinfoil hat, but does anyone else think that these messages sound like it's written by an FBI? All it's missing is, dear roommate, I hope these texts find you well. People aren't exactly buying this. There's even a staged button which has 35,000 likes, right? Now, I took these text messages and I screenshotted them and I ran them through ChatGPT and I just said to ChatGPT, do these text messages in this thread look organic, like an organic conversation, or do they read like a staged conversation? And ChatGPT's response, right, was they look like a staged conversation more than an organic one. So there's over-explanation, there's unnatural pacing, roommates' limited input, inclusion of unnecessary detail, formatting and presentation, right? Which, and then it asked me if I wanted to see a realistic version of how the conversation might play out. This is what it came back with. I'm not exactly buying this, but, you know, it's one of those ones. Now, it's a very interesting situation that we've got on our hands here. Because a lot of people are already kind of like suggesting that this might be some kind of inside job. But, you know, the text messages don't exactly read as if they are genuine messages, which is really, really weird to see. Now, obviously, off the back of Charlie Kirk's passing, late night show host Jimmy Kimmel, right, went on his show and he made a couple of comments about the situation. I'm going to play out what he said. Hopefully it doesn't get copyrighted. It most likely will, so you might not even see it. But if there's a cut in the video and this clip's not there, you'll know why. But you can find it on YouTube and stuff. But here's the clip.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. Okay. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction. Demolition, construction. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish. Okay.
Now, I mean, is he necessarily wrong? You know? Now, those comments alone were enough to get Jimmy Kimmel taken on off air indefinitely. He's essentially been given the Ellen DeGeneres treatment, right? He's essentially been told by the media world, you're getting shelved for your comments. Now, is it just because of that? Who knows? But obviously this has got the world talking about, obviously, the land of the free being America, not necessarily being the land of the free anymore when you can't use your freedom of speech and you can't actively criticize someone, you know, in what some people might deem to be an appropriate way. Now, obviously, it's I don't even know what to say. Now, SAG-AFTRA, which is the governing body, I suppose, of these TV shows over in America, has publicly condemned the decision to suspend Jimmy Kimmel's show. Now, this is what they had to say. So, SAG-AFTRA condemns the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel Live. Our society depends on freedom of expression, suppression of free speech, and retaliation from speaking out on significant issues of public concern run counter to the fundamental rights that we rely on. Democracy thrives when a diverse points of view are expressed. The decision to suspend airing Jimmy Kimmel Live is the type of suppression and retaliation that endangers everyone's freedoms. SAG-AFTRA stands with with all media artists and defends their right to express their diverse points of view and everyone's right to hear them. So they've obviously come out and stated, you know, they basically condemned the action of taking this down. And a lot of people are saying, like, this is been a move from some TV corporations to try and score political points with Donald Trump to almost monopolize the TV world. Now, obviously, in America, there are some very stern anti-monopoly laws, which, for anyone that doesn't know, means that, like, we've just seen it with Google, for example. They had to let go of some of their key assets. I think it was last year. Because they were basically monopolizing the tech world and the online world because they had the significant power over other industries, and they were basically just buying people out and monopolizing the tech industry and the online world, which meant that no one else really got a look in. And it's the idea is to let the little people kind of be able to have an opportunity as well against these juggernauts like Google. And it's the same with the TV industry. So take a little listen to this.
So how do we make sense of the fact that late night host Jimmy Kimmel indefinitely lost his show because of comments he made Monday night in which he said that the MAGA gang was really trying hard to prove that Charlie Kirk's assassin was not one of theirs so that they could score political points? That's what he said. Well, follow the money. In August, Nexstar, the largest owner of TV stations, local TV stations in the country, announced that they wanted to purchase their rival Tegna for more than $6 billion. Now, in order for that deal to go through, Nexstar would need the approval of the Federal Communications Commission. And in fact, they would need the FCC to lift the cap, a 39% cap that the FCC has, which is a rule that states no company can own enough TV stations to reach more than 39% of the households in the United States. And this deal going through would violate that cap.
Obviously, that's the anti-monopoly law that I was talking about.
The current chair of the FCC, Brendan Carr, he earlier this year said that he would be willing to entertain lifting what he called arcane artificial limits on how many TV stations any one company can own. Okay, so that's where we are. Nexstar wanting to get the FCC's approval, the FCC commissioner making it clear that his mind is open. Today, Wednesday, the FCC commissioner goes on a podcast, a MAGA podcaster, and makes it very clear that he did not like the comments that Jimmy Kimmel made on Monday night. He calls Kimmel talentless. And then he says...
So I think, again, Disney needs to see some change here, but the individual licensed stations that are taking their content, it's time for them to step up and say, this, garbage, to the extent that that's what comes down the pipe in the future, isn't something that we think serves the needs of our local communities. But this sort of status quo is obviously not acceptable where we are.
You believe that? So he's calling on local TV stations to reject the Jimmy Kimmel show. That was posted on Twitter or X at 1:01 p.m. Wednesday. Within hours, Nexstar makes the announcement that the company's owned and partnered television stations affiliated with ABC will preempt Jimmy Kimmel because they object to recent comments made by Kimmel. And then, shortly after that, ABC television network announced that they were suspending Kimmel's show. And so, while there are no doubt people who are legitimately offended by what Kimmel said, and no doubt tensions are high and feelings are fraught, there is also a lot of money to be made, and there are also a lot of people who want to endear themselves to the FCC commissioner and President Trump.
Now, obviously, that sounds incredibly far-fetched from the get-go, right? You're probably looking at that and being like, well, that's some bold assertions being made and assumptions as well. But when you hear some of the things that came off of Air Force One when President Donald Trump was flying back from the UK, there was some interesting things being stated. Now, he said a lot of stuff about a lot of different things, most notably towards his trip to the UK. But this also came up that he was caught on hot mic telling journalists that they are essentially not allowed to criticise him, which is insane. Take a little listen to this. This is going to blow your mind.
Look, that's something that should be talked about for licensing too. When you have a network and you have evening shows and all they do is hit Trump, that's all they do. If you go back, I guess they haven't had a conservative on in years or something, somebody said. But when you go back and you take a look, all they do is hit Trump. They're licensed. They're not allowed to do that. They're an arm of the Democrat Party. Thank you, everybody.
So, obviously, they're basically condemning the actions of what's happened, but also stating, you have a network and you have evening shows and all they do is hit Trump, they're licensed, they're not allowed to do that. Now, a lot of people, alright, and this is me kind of trying to take a neutral standpoint with this, a lot of people are saying that, yes, Trump, this is exactly it, like, you are the guy. But a lot of people are also saying, essentially, this is some hardcore censorship coming out where you can't, you can't speak out against the president, essentially the leader, right? Now, a lot of people are also saying, where else do we often see this level of censorship, where you're not allowed to actively speak out about the political leader? North Korea with Kim Jong-un. Russia with Vladimir Putin. It's crazy. It is crazy. Now, another clip that might get me demonetized or might not make it into the final cut of this video is Jimmy Fallon and his response to Jimmy Kimmel being taken off air. Trying to do it in a, he tried to do it in a bit of a candid way where he also wouldn't be taken off air. Because, I mean, I wouldn't even touch this topic with a 10-foot barge pole, if I'm perfectly honest, but here we are. Now, again, like before, you can find this online. It might not make it into the final cut. It might do. I don't know. Messy situations where, it's taken quite a turn. It all started out with, I don't know. If I speak, I am in big trouble. And finally, we end off on Bonnie Blue, because it seems I just can't go a week without talking about her. She's been punched, apparently, in a nightclub appearance in Sheffield. Welcome to Sheffield, Bonnie. I think by this point it's safe to say that people are pretty sick of Bonnie Blue's antics. And I think it's also safe to say that some people are a little bit more sick than others. As it's been reported that while she's on a Bang Bus tour, right, where she's going across the UK in this bus that she's doing God knows what in, she's apparently gone to Sheffield and been punched in the face in a nightclub whilst making an appearance. I kid you not, that's what's being reported. So the Star have, broken this story by stating Bonnie Blue, punched in the face as nightclub event with adult star descends into chaos. That's the story going around the rumour mill right now. People have got it all over TikTok, as you can imagine. And it's chaos. And it's even funnier that this person that allegedly hit her in the face also queued up to see her. So they literally queued to see her to take a swing. Wild scenes. Now, as you can imagine, it has descended into utter chaos. But in the early hours of September 19th, 2025, around reportedly 1:22 a.m., adult film star and OF creator Bonnie Blue was allegedly assaulted during a meet and greet event at the Onyx nightclub in Portobello Street in Sheffield, England. This event was part of a controversial Bang Bus UK Freshers Tour aimed at university students with DJ sets, games and drinks deals, but organisers explicitly banned sexual behaviour to maintain a quote-unquote safe space. It's good to see that even nightclub owners have got their priorities straight here. The tour, which began earlier in the week in cities like Glasgow, Leeds, and has drawn significant backlash for Blue's provocative content and past sex challenges involving young adults. Now, the altercation allegedly occurred just 40 minutes after Blue arrived at the venue at around 1 a.m. amid long queues and a heavy security presence. Witnesses describe the tension and the tense atmosphere building from verbal confrontations before it escalated into physical violence. Now, Blue was reportedly struck in the jaw by a woman in the queue waiting to meet her, leading to chaos, a brawl and police intervention, and the incident ended the event prematurely. Now, you're probably wondering, how do we get to this point? Well, there was apparently a bit of a build-up, so the mood was incredibly tense, and that's what's been stated by many people that were privy to the event from the get-go. One witness reported a woman confronting Blue, accusing her of quote-unquote setting back feminism with her work, and Blue allegedly responded by telling her security team to quote get those fat fucks away from me. That was apparently what was said by Blue, which inflamed the situation much, much further. Then we obviously had the assault. So according to multiple eyewitnesses, the woman, while chatting to a friend next to Blue, suddenly turned in and quote-unquote punched her square in the jaw. Initial media reports described it as a full punch, but a member of Blue's team later clarified it was merely a slap. Video footage circulating online at this current time shows immediate pandemonium, security dragging the woman away and possibly others, though the dance floor amid screams, with one voice yelling, quote, Bonnie Blue has just got punched in the face. The clip is set to Missy Elliott's Get Your Freak On, adding to the ironic soundtrack. It's crazy. Now, in the aftermath, right, as you can imagine, shit hit the fan. And Blue was escorted away quickly, and supporters captured police arriving outside the club to detain suspects, and the venue's queues dispersed amid the disorder. Now, according to the police response, the South Yorkshire police issued a statement confirming that they responded to a quote-unquote disturbance at 1:22 a.m. A woman was assaulted and suffered no injuries. A female suspect was detained at the scene but was released without charge, and this case is filed pending further investigation. No arrests have been made as of today, which is September 20th, and the investigation remains open and ongoing. Now, people are probably wondering, well, how did Bonnie Blue respond to this? Well, we'll get into that in just a moment, but this is kind of some of the scenes that we saw coming out of people's TikTok accounts, which you can imagine kind of sparked a bit of controversy.
Oh, get out. Thank you, but do you know how many years you've set back feminism? Oh, get out. Genuinely. I haven't. You have. I haven't. But you have. Like, you made so many women bad shit. Do you know? Like, do you actually know? Like, get out. And I'll stand on that. It's fine. Stand on it. You get it. It's not fine, though, is it? It is. It's not. It is. You're making money, but you're making everybody else's life shit. I can't make anyone's life shit. I beg to differ.
I mean, obviously it got quite tense. You can hear her in the background shouting, "Get these fat fucks out of here!" Like, that is crazy, by the way. Like, clearly, someone's got under her skin with that one, because that's not a response you get from someone who's kind of level-headed. I mean, I don't know what she expected the response to her to be like, but you know, there's more footage circulating around the internet. I'm not mistaken, I believe that was just like another view of the people from the clip that we just seen. But it doesn't stop there. Obviously, like, there is a lot of stuff going on right now. Like, people literally followed her out of Sheffield, out of the nightclub, and you know, it was just utter scenes. I'm not sure this is the celebrity status she probably had in mind when it was all going on in her head, but again, just utter scenes as people got like the footage of the police kind of rocking up to kind of look after the scene as it was going on.
It's all kicking off at the Bonnie Blue event in Sheffield.
It's just crazy, man. It is crazy. Like I say, people just kind of taking this entire situation into their own hands, and they just feel like, I don't know what they feel like, but I mean, it was obviously, it was never gonna end well, was it?
He'd been punched in the jaw at a nightclub. So Bonnie Blue was at this nightclub as part of her Bang Bus tour in Sheffield, South Yorkshire, and she was there attending the Freshers Night. Now here's the hilarious part. So the tickets for this event was sold on Skiddle, and there was an important notice: this place is a safe place for all. No sexual behaviour permitted inside the venue. So safe there was a WWE SmackDown, but I digress. And reportedly, Bonnie Blue entered this club at 1 a.m, and this incident literally happened 40 minutes later after she entered. Now, there is footage circulating of a woman with bright pink hair. It appears to go out to Bonnie Blue. Bonnie comments on the woman's hair, saying how cool it looks. The woman then says, "Thank you. But do you know how many years you've set back feminism?" Now, for me personally, when watching the video, it started to get muffled after that. But reportedly, Bonnie Blue responds saying, "Get out." "No, I haven't." And also says, "Get those fat fucks out." Now, from the footage I've seen, I ain't seen no one get no right hook. You can see the security swarming and trying to tackle. Seems to be like a big kerfuffle going on. Now, Bonnie Blue is yet to actually address if she has been punched or not, from what I can see. It has been reported that the police did arrive at the nightclub and reported that Bonnie Blue did not sustain any injury, but a woman was held in custody and was later released. And officers are still investigating, pending further information coming to light. Now, here's my thing. Am I shocked that it happened? Absolutely not. Does she deserve it? No. Unless really warranted, no one deserves to be physically assaulted. We gotta do better. There's other ways we can get our point across. Am I shocked that it happened? Absolutely not. This was a ticking time bomb. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.
I actually agree with that like sentiment there. Like, this was a ticking time bomb. There was no way that she expected to go to a nightclub on Freshers Week or whatever and have it go swimmingly well and be received incredibly well. But at the same time, does that warrant someone getting physically assaulted? No, I don't think so. I think that's way too far. You know, I regardless of what you think about someone, I think physical assault's kind of not exactly on the cards for anyone. There you go. What do you guys think? Obviously, it's utter chaos, man. The world has gone to shit. What do you guys make of all this? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Way down there, jump to get the hell out of that like button and subscribe. And until next time, I'll speak to you later. Peace.